Austria. I now give the floor to His Excellency Sheikh Khalid bin Ahmed Al Khalifa, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Bahrain.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Madam President, at the outset, allow me to congratulate you and your friendly country, the Republic of Ecuador, on your election to preside over this session. Holding this important position reflects your skill and merit. My sincere appreciation also goes to your predecessor, His Excellency Mr. Miroslav Lajčák, for his valued efforts in conducting the work of the previous session in a highly professional manner. I also wish to express the great appreciation of the Kingdom of Bahrain for His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, and his relentless efforts to reform the organization's structure and enhance its role in the fields of sustainable development, conflict settlement, and maintenance of international peace and security, and many other human issues of interest to all the states of the world. These are tangible efforts and enjoy our full support. May I also recall with great affection the role of the late diplomat Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, and his efforts to reform the organization and develop solutions to international crises. I offer my sincerest condolences to his family and to the international community at large. Madam President, under the leadership of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, King of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and with the support of His Royal Highness Prince Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa, Prime Minister, and His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, Crown Prince, Deputy Supreme Commander and First Deputy Prime Minister, the Kingdom of Bahrain is implementing all programs and plans to raise the standard of living and development of its citizens and residents, and to keep up with international efforts to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as taking advanced steps in this regard so that all shall enjoy a decent living and a secure life. The Kingdom of Bahrain has been classified for many years as a country with high human development. It has succeeded in mitigating the impact of economic challenges thanks to its economic diversification efforts, fiscal and monetary policies, and investment incentives. This had a positive impact on the Bahraini economy, which is now classified, according to the International Monetary Fund, as one of the fastest growing economies in the region. The discovery of the largest oil and natural gas reserves since the first discovery of oil in 1932 shall, God willing, be a strong impetus to Bahrain's economy in the future. As part of the Kingdom Bahrain's cooperation with the United Nations, His Royal Highness the Prime Minister issued a decree establishing the follow-up and coordination committee between the government of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the United Nations agencies as an outcome of the strategic partnership framework for 2018-2020. This was signed by both parties to support the efforts of the Kingdom to achieve its development objectives and the SDGs in line with the Bahrain Economic Vision 2030. To highlight and document these efforts, a few weeks ago, my government presented to the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development here in New York its first voluntary national review on the implementation of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. The election of the Kingdom of Bahrain to the membership of the Committee on Non-Governmental Organizations for the period 2019-2022 reflected international appreciation for the policies pursued by His Majesty the King to consolidate rights and liberties and to advance our common goals towards achieving the objectives and purposes of the United Nations. Consistent with its international contributions and interest in cooperating with various bodies of the United Nations, the Kingdom of Bahrain submitted its candidature for the membership of the Human Rights Council for the third time for the period 2019-2021. This candidature reaffirms its policy of enhancing respect for human rights and the protection of freedoms in line with international standards, building upon the progress already achieved in various fields. Last March, during the 62nd session of the Commission on the Status of Women, nominations were invited for Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa Global Award for Women Empowerment. This award aims to highlight achievements in the field of equal opportunities between women and men in the world. The Kingdom of Bahrain ranked among Tier 1 countries in the 2018 U.S. State Department report on trafficking in persons issued last June. This makes us the first country in the Middle East and North Africa to attain this high status. This confirms the great accomplishments of the Kingdom of Bahrain in this field. Tribute was paid by the U.S. State Department to Mr. Osama Abdullah Al-Absi, CEO of the Labor Market Regulatory Authority, Chairman of the National Committee to Combat Trafficking in Persons in the Kingdom of Bahrain, among 10 international personalities, in appreciation of his extraordinary contribution to fighting trafficking in persons. The Kingdom of Bahrain is always looking to contribute to a more prosperous future for the peoples of the world. It is fully aware of the importance of alliances to preserve regional security, to firmly address the challenges and threats to the stability of countries, their development, and the prosperity of their peoples, particularly in the Arab Gulf region, which is a central component of the Middle East and the world. We are therefore convinced that achieving lasting peace and security and sustainable development in the countries of the region is a collective responsibility that requires building a robust political, economic, and military partnership between responsible countries of the region that understand the threats of the moment and the requirements of the future. They must have a genuine desire, a serious will, and wise policies that make such responsibility an indispensable element in collaboration with allied countries to safeguard the security and safety of their states and peoples and deter whoever is tempted to threaten the stability of the strategic region of the world. This region is confronted with many challenges, notably from the Iranian regime, which is adopting a policy of destruction, overthrowing states and their institutions. It is supporting terrorist and extremist groups and interfering in the internal affairs of other states. Iran falsely accuses neighboring countries of instigating events that take place in Iran. It aspires to impose its hegemony on the region by packaging and exporting its miserable revolution under which the Iranian people suffer from tyranny, oppression, and injustice. It disseminates an extremist ideology that has become a constant feature of its foreign policy and is threatening the aspirations and ambitions of peoples who have coexisted for many centuries. We ourselves did that with Iran, its friendly people, and its ancient civilization. We lived side by side in an environment of shared heritage, culture, commerce, and others. The situation in the Republic of Yemen is a case in point. The Iranian regime backs the militias behind the coup in Yemen to continue its criminal and hostile activities, which threaten neighboring countries by means of ballistic missiles against civilian populated areas in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is confirmed by major countries concerned, with the security of the region, as well as by the reports of the United Nations, including the 5th report of the UN Secretary General on the implementation of Security Council Resolution 2231 of 2015. The report clearly indicates that Iran is the origin of those missiles, which constitute serious threats to peace and security in the region, as well as to the major international shipping lanes, the Strait of Hormuz and Bab al-Mandeb. At a time when it is imperative to establish common mechanisms for collective security in the Middle East, we are confronted with another source of impediment to these efforts that threaten the security and stability of the region. That is Qatar. Qatar maintains its policies and practices which contradict with the concept of collective security through a dangerous tendency to spread and feed terrorism with a view to toppling national governments, striving to destroy them, and drowning them in anarchy. My own country was thus targeted by Qatari plans beyond even the events of 2011. Qatar provided financial, informational, and logistical support to acts of violence and terrorism. Far beyond that, Qatar, throughout its history, repeatedly attacked its neighbors, including our own territory in 1937 and 1986. It also launched attacks on the borders of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1992. We reacted with wisdom and foresight to prevent our two peoples any harm. We and the Qataris are one people. We were under a single leadership, and we are united by origin, family ties, history, and a common objective and destiny. Our relations will remain close and impervious to all attempts to divide or alter this everlasting reality. We still hope that Qatar will return to its senses, prove its good intentions and its desire to become a positive member of the region by responding to the conditions of the Kingdom of Bahrain, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and the Arab Republic of Egypt. Those conditions are consistent with the solid basis of international law, good neighborliness, mutual respect, and the respect of sovereignty and independence of states. They aim to put an end to the support and financing of terrorism and to implement its commitments under the agreements it has signed, notably the Riyadh Agreement of 2013 and its executive mechanism, and the supplementary Riyadh Agreement of 2014. Madam President, the Kingdom of Bahrain endeavors to put into action the various frameworks of constructive cooperation with its partners and friends in the world. It effectively participates in many alliances, including the Islamic Military Counterterrorism Coalition, the International Coalition Against ISIS, and the Arab Coalition to Restore Legitimacy in Yemen. We reiterate our support to all initiatives that establish peace and security in the world and in our region in particular, starting with the efforts of the United States of America under the leadership of His Excellency President Donald Trump in this regard, most notably cooperating with the countries of the region to establish the Middle East Strategic Alliance, designating some terrorist groups supported by the Iranian regime on the government of the United States lists of terrorist organizations, the American strategy vis-à-vis the Iranian regime, and the withdrawal from the incomplete nuclear agreement with Iran. We express our commitment with our allies to support the security and stability of the region. We renew our call for an end to the occupation by Iran of the 3 UAE islands, Greater Tun, Lesser Tun, and Abu Musa, and for Iran to respond seriously to these efforts by the UAE to restore its sovereignty on its territory and to resolve this issue through negotiations or referral to the ICJ. Allow me to commend the significant role and constructive efforts of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia at the regional and international levels. It is using its prominent status and strategic role to consolidate international peace and security. We were all witness to the sponsorship by the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, of the Jeddah Peace Agreement between the Republic of Eritrea and the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Madam President, The preservation of the state and its institutions is the main guarantee of the stability of peoples and the revival of communities to prevent them from falling into the abyss of anarchy and terrorism. I want to recall the words of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, President of Egypt, in his statement before the General Assembly a few days ago. I quote, "There can be no way forward towards achieving an effective international order if its main constituent unit, that is the nation state, which is premised on the notions of citizenship, democracy, and equality, is in danger of disintegration. The disintegration of nations as a result of civil strife or regression to sectarian loyalties is responsible for the most dangerous phenomena in our contemporary world." End of quote. In line with our consistent position, we reaffirm the need for a peaceful solution to the Syrian crisis with effective participation and a strong Arab role to enable the state to exercise control and sovereignty over the totality of its territory, to eliminate terrorist groups of all kinds, particularly those supported by Iran, such as Hezbollah and others. We also stress the need to prevent regional interferences that harm Syria's present and future, and to realize the aspirations of the Syrian people for a peaceful and stable life. We reaffirm our support, or we welcome the Turkish-Russia agreement, and we reaffirm our support to the efforts of Mr. Staffan de Mistura, the UN Special Envoy to Syria. With regards to Yemen, we are committed to our participation as an active member of the Arab Coalition to restore legitimacy in Yemen since its establishment. The coalition is committed to restoring peace and security in Yemen and to assisting the people of Yemen in all areas, most particularly the humanitarian aspects. The coalition continues its mission to guarantee Yemen's unity, independence, and territorial integrity, and to put an end to foreign interference in its internal affairs, notably by the Iranian regime, until a political solution is reached with the participation of all on the basis of the GCC initiative, its implementation mechanisms, the outcomes of the National Dialogue, and Security Council Resolution 2216. Madam President, if we really wish to have peace and security in the Middle East, Jerusalem must remain, as it has always been, the historic symbol of coexistence and harmony among religions. The ongoing conflict is not an unavoidable destiny, and the achievement of peace is an attainable objective. We therefore need to make further efforts to reach a just and comprehensive peace that offers to the Palestinian people, like all other peoples, the right to a decent life and to an independent and sovereign state based on the borders of 4 June 1967 with East Jerusalem as a capital, and guarantees the return of refugees on the basis of the two-state solution and in line with the Arab Peace Initiative and relevant international resolutions. We stress the need to commit not to alter the legal status of East Jerusalem and the need for the international community to act in order to put an end to all Israeli measures concerning the inhabitants of Jerusalem, sacred sites, and their places of worship. We also stress the need to offer all possible assistance to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, to preserve it and to enable it to discharge its noble duties to improve the situation of Palestinian refugees and alleviate their suffering. Madam President, the peace and stability of the Republic of Iraq and maintaining its sovereignty and the prosperity of its people is what we seek in this authentic Arab country. We are hopeful that Iraq restores its leading role in the Arab regional and international arenas. We stress the need to end regional interference in its internal affairs, particularly by the Iranian regime and its diverse tools, such as armed militias and terrorist groups, so that its people may enjoy security and prosperity. Regarding Libya, we reiterate the Kingdom of Bahrain's consistent position to support all efforts towards the reconstruction of the state and the unification of the military institution, to enable it to provide protection to Libya and confront all forms of terrorism, to preserve its unity and territorial integrity, and to satisfy the aspirations of the Libyan people to stability, development, and progress. We stand by the Kingdom of Morocco against the flagrant Iranian plotting and interference in its internal affairs. We support the serious and credible efforts by the Kingdom of Morocco to reach a political solution to the question of the Moroccan Sahara, on the basis of the Moroccan Initiative of Autonomy and relevant Security Council resolutions, and within the framework of the sovereignty, national unity, and territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Morocco. Madam President, your choice of the theme of this session, entitled Making the United Nations Relevant to All People, Global Leadership and Shared Responsibilities for Peaceful, Equitable and Sustainable Societies, sends one message, namely, that realizing these objectives mean that we will fulfill the aims of the entirety of the United Nations Charter and achieve our desired goals. The Kingdom of Bahrain believes in this message and implements it as it continues its development path. It perseveres in its efforts to enhance the security and stability of its people. It will never abandon its role in consolidating tolerance, the values of coexistence, and the principles of dialogue between states, peoples, cultures, and religions. We all witnessed here in New York the high-level meeting convened by King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence, entitled Towards Peaceful and Inclusive Communities in accordance with Sustainable Development Goal 16. I want to also mention the Bahrain Visions Forum, Shared Visions for a Successful Future, National, Regional, and Global Challenges and Opportunities. These initiatives reflect the policy of Bahrain and its faith in partnership and cooperation with the international community to overcome all challenges. A state based on an open and diverse society that welcomes all who set foot on its land and live among its people, and which has offered in the past as in the present a successful model to be followed of what can be achieved under this rich diversity and positive openness, can only remain faithful to all international covenants and conventions. It is a model of a state that cares for its people's interests and those of the region to which it belongs. This approach will continue to be built on the commitment of all, good neighborliness, mutual respect, and restraint from inflicting harm on others or jeopardizing their security. Whoever goes astray and betrays this promise, whoever rejects those principles and frameworks, international law guarantees the redrawing of a peaceful path that ensures the security and stability of our states and the return of normality for the sake of a stable, prosperous environment with peaceful countries and secure peoples in a prosperous, peacefully coexisting world. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you. Thank you.
I thank the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Bahrain for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Ezekiel Nibijira, Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Burundi.